I thank everybody for coming. My name is Jack White. I'm the president of the board of directors. This is the 2013 annual general meeting of the Virginia-Highland Civic Association. I'm going to declare it open, and I'd like to present Ms. Breon Turgeon and the Spark Choir.
Welcome to the Virginia-Highland Civic Association meeting. I'm Lauren Najee. I'm Claire Howell, and we will be performing 4 songs for you. The first song that we're going to perform is Molly Malone. And the next one after that will be Rose. It's a quadruped. And then we'll have Rose Rose, Hey Ho Nobody's Home, and Awkward. We wanted to do a song called Look What Person Picked Up in the Park. It wasn't that appropriate what he did pick up. So we're going to do 2 other songs instead. The song, well, no, that's not the next one. The one after the last one was Turn the World Around. And then we're going to sing About Popeye, which is a South African song. Fasten your seatbelts. And you're ready for a wild ride. Before we move on, we want to introduce the fabulous John Marvel, who will be playing guitar. And Breon Turgeon. Oh yeah,
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and I wanted to thank all the parents who brought their kids. We had some soccer games and rehearsals and practices and things that people had to rearrange and do circus tricks to get here. So we are so happy to sing for you, and we're grateful for all the kids being here and the parents for bringing them. So thank you very much. The next song is called Turn the World Around, and it's in 5/8. So it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is kind of an unusual meter. Hannah is our bongo player. Kate Kinsley is our maraca player. And is our claw bass player. So this is a song that was made famous by Harry Belafonte. We are featuring Shendines as our djembe player. He's an honorary advanced chorus member. He comes to a lot of our rehearsals, and he's the younger sibling of Amara and Forrest. Holly's, where are they? Sorry.
thank you. And if y'all will stop on the way out, we have a little gift, a token of appreciation for y'all. Thank you, members of the Spark Choir.
I don't think that's yet. I don't think that's. I think we are, yeah. So not right this second, but I think they introduced a public official. I know we're down there. I think
The rest of the meeting is going to be a lot less entertaining. I fear. It's tough act to follow.
It'll be a lot less well attended too.
Again, to welcome everybody and provide an interlude.
Drive everybody off.
We're going to move along to some of our guests and hear from them. We will ask them all to be reasonably concise, but we're going to start with our Zone 6 Commander, Captain Shaw. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. I'm the assistant commander. I'm here for Major Pete, and we always appreciate a good turnout. We always get a good turnout up here. Zone 6 is great for the communities that are very strong. We have made a lot of progress in our crime. Go back as we keep up the crime since the beginning of the year. We had a really rough start. We were probably about 45% up going into about 3 months into the year. We have just hit 6% up. So it doesn't sound great, but it's definitely going in the right direction. For this beat, 601, we had 4 Part 1 crimes last this past week, which is pretty good for comparative to some of the other zones. One of the things I did want to mention, we talked about it before, is some of the strategies that we have been using, and you may have seen a news story on something called Treadhole, so I wanted to explain a little bit about that. Basically what that is it's a computer crime predictive program that has been developed, and basically it takes our crime data in real time and updates this computer program. So we have that in the precinct in Zone 6 and Zone 4 that are using that. So before every shift goes out, the commander will print off this sheet, and it kind of tells, we give a sheet to each beat officer, and it kind of tells them the main spots where the crimes have been happening. So that's been very effective for us since everybody has either had their car broken into or knows someone that has. That's the main thing we try to focus on. The officers are aware of all the problems, but the car break-ins are really what drives the crime, and it touches a lot of people up here, and we've seen a big decrease in that. Several weeks ago, we've spoken with John back and forth about some burglaries that were going on. A nice little rash of them that came up, and I was going to bring this picture. We caught this guy, so you really can't see it very well, but there's a guy named Stanley Spradlin. He was a person that we had a warrant for. He had broken into some houses. He's a burglar. He breaks in cars. He steals. And so we got a warrant for him, and we picked him up on the 5th. So the good thing about that is our fit teams, our plainclothes officers, they kind of go out to our hot spots. They were just hawking and prowling all over these streets up here, and we've got a lot of good community feedback. I know John was very instrumental in forwarding information back and forth, and people were telling us that we've seen him here and there, so we knew where to go. And we saw him, the officers saw him on a bike, and he was talking to a resident, and then once she got in her car and drove away, he circled around behind her house, and he was more than likely going to break into it. So they snatched him up and arrested him. And there have been no burglaries at all on this beach since they picked him up, which is really outstanding. So that was great work by them.
Oh, I just might want to mention, one of the arresting officers that day was Officer Joe Cooper, who, if you remember from a couple years ago, is an honorary citizen of Virginia-Highland.
Yeah, it's been very, knock on wood, it's really slowed down since we picked him up, and obviously it's kind of hard to say because he's an old school guy, and he was not interested in giving us any information, so everything has slowed down a lot, car break-ins included. There's been only, I think, 2 or 3 car break-ins since that time, so things are looking good, so please continue to be the great citizens that you are and forward us the information, and just let us know if you see us doing something right or wrong, and we'll try to improve every day. So that's all I have. Unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Captain Shaw. We're going to hear next from our District 57 Representative, Pat Gardner.
Hallelujah. I thought I could sing it, but obviously I couldn't. So some of the candidates and I have been sitting over there thinking that maybe next year we'll put together a little song so we get people to hang around with.
Candidates chorus.
But we think it's important.
Please don't.
We have to practice that. My name is Pat Gardner. I'm the state representative from the 57th District. I am proud and delighted to be able to continue to represent you for another year, and especially delighted that I don't have to be on the campaign trail this summer. Next summer will be another matter, but I am delighted to be able to relax this summer. And this fall, I guess is the truth. There are a lot of things going on in the state, but there is one message I think I wanted to leave with you today, and that is, whatever you think about the new health care law, it is important that we get the message out to people that there really are 2 parts. You read in the paper about the Medicaid expansion, which Georgia has decided not to do, but there's another piece of the law, which is the health insurance exchange. And Georgia's not doing its own, but we will all be able to participate in a health exchange through the federal government. And it's very confusing if you read the mail, if you read the news, if you listen on TV, because the debate is so filled with political rhetoric. So what I brought you today is a sheet that gives you a couple of places to go and look for the facts. If nothing else, go to YouTube and look at YouTunes. It is 6 minutes long, and it gives you an overview of the Affordable Care Act as it passed. It's really a good summary. So again, it's YouTunes. And the other place is healthcare.gov, which for those of you who are interested, you know, if you're covered by your employer, your insurance is probably not going to change all that much. But there are 1.9 million people in Georgia, that's 1 in 5, who have no health insurance. And we're all paying for them when they go to the hospital through our premiums. So it is important that we try to get people on some kind of an insurance policy. Forget the politics, think about what is best for your family and for your business. Healthcare.gov is an excellent site that just tells you how to manipulate the health insurance exchange, which they're now calling a marketplace. It's kind of like going to Travelocity when you're going on a trip. You go in there and you say, I want to go here. It takes you to that site. So I encourage you to take a look. There's also a consumer report that just provides the facts. I think it's important at this point for us to get past the political discussions and figure out how we're going to make what is the law of the land work. So that's the only real message I have for you today. Thank you very much for the opportunity to represent you. My website is patgardner.org. If you're not receiving updates from me, please go and register. So starting in January, you will receive some regular updates. Again, thank you.
appointed. Representatives report of our part of our agenda. Our next representative is our council's 6th district member, Alex Wan.
Pat, if you're up here next year singing, I'll back up dance for you. So I'm Alex Wan. I'm a council member for our district, District 6. It's been a privilege to represent Virginia-Highland as one of the neighborhoods in District 6 for the last 4 years. Sheila Parrott in my office and I have really enjoyed engaging with the community and working on a broad range of issues. I was trying to think of the things that we've been working on this year. One of them that came to mind was with Peggy Bird with the sidewalk bundling project. Thank you for your patience and your perseverance. Pamela Pappner from even 4 years ago stayed on us, and we were finally able to have 2 of the first pilot streets in the city to get the micro resurfacing, which was Glen Arden and Kentucky, and hopefully there's more to come. Jack White, you arranged a meeting, and we participated with discussing some of the problems and issues with Park Atlanta. And then of course, Summerfest. Sheila invariably gets the last minute phone calls to help with yard trimming pickup. One year it was the event permit itself, but we are always thrilled to help out in whatever way we can. Some of the broader city issues that we've worked on last year, the biggest one I think is the balanced budget. Without having raised property taxes, we're still delivering the same or more city services than we did as we did in 2009, with $100 million less in revenue. I think that's pretty remarkable. We've been very, very tight with that. Public safety funding continues to be a high priority of mine. To put whatever resources we can, we have funded 2,000 positions in the police department, which helps with some of the crime issues that we've been talking about. And then finally, I hope that I've demonstrated to you that I will carefully listen and reflect our community's positions on issues that are important to us, the stadium being probably the biggest one over the last year, despite the political consequences that come with it. I respect that as my job and want to continue doing that. Looking ahead the next 12 months, you're going to hear more about the Virginia-Highland Master Plan. I've kind of earned a reputation as being one of the vicious fiscal watchdogs on the budget. I want to continue doing that. And I also think I've proven some of my 2009 skeptics wrong in that I am a very, very strong and vocal neighborhood advocate when it comes to issues and protecting the quality of life in our neighborhoods. I want to remind everyone that Music Midtown is this weekend, so be mindful of the street closings. And I'm going to take my last few seconds, if I may, to ask for your vote again on November 5th. I really would like the honor and privilege of being your voice and being a champion of our issues down at City Hall for the next 4 years. My website is alexwanforatlanta.com, and you can go there to request what I'm calling one of the hottest fashion trends this fall in yard decor, a blue Alex Wan yard sign that looks a lot like this. So thank you very much, and I look forward to hopefully serving you again for another 4 years.
Thank you, Alex. Our next speaker is our current and retiring school board member, and we're delighted to welcome here Ms. Cecily Marsh-Canaan.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am Cecily Marsh-Canaan, and I have been the your school board representative for the last 8 years. I will no longer be that after January 1st. You will have the wonderful young man sitting here, Matt Westmoreland, who will represent y'all very well. It's been a pleasure to represent Virginia-Highland. I lived in Virginia-Highland, so I've enjoyed it and I've appreciated your support, everything you've given me, even problems, concerns, complaints, all that. So I really have appreciated that. I'm just going to give a little, quick update where we are with a couple of things. The 3 schools that the Virginia-Highland goes to, Springdale Park, Inman, and Grady. Springdale Park, we are beginning a renovation, or an addition there right now, a renovation to include an addition that will provide more classroom space and a gymnasium for the school. The school was bursting at its seams, and we went through a redistricting last year, and we kept the Springdale Park lines the same, but did realize that we needed to increase the capacity at the school. So it's a little bit of a trying time for Springdale Park, for the parents. The traffic and parking has always been an issue at Springdale Park, or Ponce de Leon, and during this construction period, for the next year or so, it's going to be ever more so. So appreciate everyone's patience on that. We're going to have, it's an unbelievably great school, and it's going to continue to be an unbelievably great school. We're going to have an even greater school with extra, classroom spaces going for the students there. Inman, we have had capacity concerns at Inman also, and we did finally reach a solution what's going to happen with the Inman overcapacity issue. And that will be that, sad to say, but it did play into the solution for the capacity issue, is that Centennial Place Elementary School is going to be transitioning to a K-8 elementary school. So the students that did feed from Centennial Place into Inman, their 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will stay at Centennial Place. And a loss for Inman Middle School, but it did change the capacity issue. We still had overcrowding, but it was a different scale of overcrowding. So the plan is to build an addition on Inman property, a small addition that what happened this year and in between over the next year is really reconfiguring some of the current Inman space, so to create some more classroom space within the current Inman facility, and then to build this not very large addition is the plan on the Inman property. That said, it not being very large, we do realize that there have been tremendous challenges already with the number of students that we currently have in Inman, and the stress that has put on the neighborhood in terms of the increased number of buses and just the traffic around Inman Middle School. So I appreciate everyone's patience with that. I live it also, and I tell people at APS, I know exactly what it's like because I see what happens when the buses stack and what goes on. And, and so it has been a stress on the neighborhood, and it's been a safety concern, frankly, for the neighborhood itself and for the students at the school. So there is work being done in that regard right now, but certainly the plan as we go into this addition is to put the best minds in there to help figure out a really great solution, looking at this school working well within the community that it resides in, and it does reside in Virginia-Highland. So a project design committee will begin in about 45 days, and there will be Virginia-Highland representation on that project design committee. So then Grady High School is about 30 students right now, so we don't have the overcapacity issue that we have had in recent years in Grady. Not to say it's not crowded and tight, but there are things being looked at there. So I think I'm probably not too long. So.
We appreciate you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all.
Cecily, thank you for your service during a really difficult time. If there is a more stressful job than being a school board representative in the city of Atlanta in the first 15 years of the 20th century, it doesn't come to mind readily. Speaking of that, here's Ms. Harsh-Kanane's successor. We're delighted to have with them actually native of NPUE and of Morningside, and her unelected, our unopposed successor. And we welcome you, sir, Matt Westmoreland.
Good evening. My name is Matt Westmoreland, and I'm a history teacher at Carver Early College High School in southeast Atlanta. I was born here. I went to Morningside, Inman, and Grady, and after college I came home to teach and to live just down the road in the Virginia-Highland apartments. I got an incredible education from APS. It sent me to Princeton and opened the doors for me to do absolutely anything I wanted to do. That is not yet the type of opportunity we are providing to every child in this city, but it can be. And it starts with electing school board members this fall who will create a vision for where we want this system to go, and then make tough choices in the interests of kids to help us get there. I'm in this election because for the last 3 years I've left an 8-hour workday at Carver to go sit through an 8-hour school board meeting where our kids were all too infrequently the topic of conversation. I saw a level of dysfunction and infighting that did very little about the fact that 51% of our kids graduate from high school, and those who do make it to college aren't prepared once they get there. I'm in this race because the election of our school board this fall and their selection of our new superintendent really provides us with a unique opportunity to start moving the system in a new direction. I've had a chance to talk with a lot of you over the last several months, and I look forward to meeting those of you who I haven't yet. But I want to say before I sit down, every day I realize how incredibly difficult this job is for this district and for the city. And every day I gain a new appreciation for what Cecily has put herself through over the last 8 years to represent the kids who go to this school and the rest of the schools in our district and every school, every child in the city. It's unbelievable. And so thank you for what you've done. And I know that I'll be reaching out for your advice and your counsel over the next 4 years.
Matt, we have you on tape, and we'll be glad to show you photographs in 4 years, and I hope you're as youthful and as enthusiastic then.
I'm no longer than 12 in 4 years. I'll lose my age.
Do we have any other elected representatives that I missed in the room? Thanks. We're going to move on. Thank you very much, Matt. We're going to move on to some other guests here that are candidates for elected office. They will not be doing their actual campaigning here, but we have a precedent here that we will abide by and can certainly ask for your vote. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with one man who needs to leave very shortly, a candidate for at-large seat 9, Jason Estevez. Jason, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Jason Estevez. I am I am an attorney and a former public school teacher, and I am running for seat 9 of the Atlanta Public Schools Board of Education. It's an at-large seat, and I am really hopeful that I will have your support so that I can be Matt's colleague, since he is unopposed. We have a very important election coming up this year because APS is really at a fork in the road where we can be ambitious and take this school system to the next level, or we can go down a path where we have 51% graduation rates and kids around the city that do not have the opportunity that Matt and I had with excellent public education. This next school board is going to have tremendous responsibility, whether it's selecting a transformational superintendent, whether it's
That's what it means. Actually, we're not, I appreciate you. We had a forum here last night. We are really going to let you introduce yourself and move on. Not because campaigning isn't important, but because this isn't the place for it.
I got it.
Okay.
But there will be a lot of responsibility that this new school board will have, and it's very important for everyone to be involved. And I hope to have your support. Jason Estevez, seat 9. Thank you.
Set a good example. We have 2 other candidates, both running for, and correct me if I have it wrong, but seat 8 at large, I think. And we'll do it alphabetically. Mark Riley, come right up, sir.
Good. I only have a 20-minute speech. I'm Mark Riley. I actually served in this seat from 2002 to 2009. Worked closely with Ms. Harshkanane, and hopefully she'll give me a good character reference if you ask her. We worked closely together for 4 years. And I decided to come back and with a combination of things. I have a son in North Atlanta who graduated last year and endured micromanagement from a board member like I've never seen in connection with the administration of that school, which was a school that a bunch of us had worked for really years to establish the kind of credibility that Inman and Grady have. And it was working, and it's continuing to work, but it got a body blow last year, and in part because of the incumbent in this seat 8. And then I also have gotten to know the sharp young guys like Jason and Matt, who are stepping up to run, and there are others, and I hope you'll have a chance to get to know them, running for the board, where we're going to have a whole new school board, progressive, young, open to new ideas, and that's inspiring to me. And I think I can maybe be the senior statesman with my experience. We've got to make probably the biggest decision this community will make in terms of schools, hiring a new superintendent. And Cecily and her team have already started on it with a talent search committee with Ann Kramer, I'm sure you all know, from this cluster, heading it. But biggest hire this city will make in terms of how our schools go for the decade. And I think I can hit the ground running and help with that. So appreciate your all's time.
Thank you very much. Also running for this seat is, and with us today, is Tom Tidwell. Tom?
My goal is to finish before Jack stands up. This is a very important election. I want to introduce myself. I'm Tom Tidwell. I live in North Atlanta, as all the residents or all the people in my race do. In fact, we all live within about a mile of each other. I have a 4th grader at North Brandon, a 6th grader at Sutton, and I am a firm believer in public education. I'm a lawyer. I'm very active in the community. I'm a board of trustees in my church, Northside Methodist. I actually play softball for Haygood Methodist. I'm vice chairman of the Buckhead Council of Neighborhoods. And I've been involved with APS both with the Morris Brandon School Council and just as an advocate as Cecily and Mark, or not Mark, Mark when he was on the board. But I was a very vocal advocate for things that are important to the children. It is an important election for a lot of reasons, some of which Jason said and Matt probably said, I missed it. But think about this. The graduation rate is 50%. That means that the people who should be graduating today, they started kindergarten back when Mark started on the board. And right now there's about 24,000 kids in elementary school. If we don't make changes, that's 12,000 kids that are not going to graduate. So this is important. I see him stand up. Thank you.
So we had a forum last night which all 3 of these candidates, and Matt was there too, and it was actually, I think there was widespread agreement. It was one of the best forums I'd ever heard. I'm sorry if you missed it. I hope it got taped. I came away with a real appreciation of the extraordinary amount of effort that it takes just to run for office. And really, in spite of our desire to move on here, we really very much appreciate y'all coming to see us tonight. And leave your literature if you have to leave, but please say hello to everybody on the way out the door. And thank you for coming. Are there any other candidates for office that I missed in the crowd? All right, we will now move on to the report of the nominating committee. I think John Becker is going to present that. And John, you have the floor. Actually, before I do that, Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum here with us tonight? Thank you very much. Jack.
Sir. All right, the nominating committee, we put out a call to the community at large about 6 weeks ago for folks who were interested in stepping up and helping out with the issues and responsibilities of the board. And we got, I won't say we were flooded with applications, but we did get some interest from some very qualified people that we're very excited to have as candidates for the 2013-2014 board. So I'm going to read the names. I'll read the incumbents first, and then the candidates for new board members. There are 11 candidates. You can vote for up to 11. You don't have to vote for all 11, but you can vote for up to 11. Don't vote for more than 11. You can write in a candidate if you so choose. So the incumbents that are running this year are myself, Peggy Berg, Lola Carlisle, Jenny Ferrero, Jennifer Keenan, Jack White, and Lauren Wilkes-Fraley. And running for new seats on the board this year are David Brandenberger, Suzanne Buck, Kate Schewel, and Jess Wyndham. So,
You can also call for nominations.
From the floor, yes. Do we have any nominations from the floor? That being the case.
If not, I move that the nominations be closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nominations are closed. If you have not cast your ballot, please give it to Ms. Fraley over there with the mystery gray box that is never leaving plain view. And we will announce the results here in just a few minutes. Our presentation of committee reports has actually been done partially in written form here, but I'd like to invite anyone who has a question or issue about a matter in Virginia-Highland that you'd like to bring up, to please do so now. I think all our committee chairs are here with one exception, and if you'd like to, we can have a discussion now, and if you don't, we can certainly raise it later. Is anyone who would like to raise an issue? Question? All right, we will move on to the recognition of retiring Virginia-Highland Civic Association board members. We're having 4 people leave the board this year. We're going to miss them all. One, Arturo Cruz Tucker. And Arturo is not with us tonight, I do not believe, because he is traveling. And it's his new travel and a great promotion and a new job that is removing him for this board, and it is our loss. He did a fantastic job in the 1 year he was here, a flawless job, and we will really, really miss him. But also with us and leaving after 2 hectic years and a very difficult time to be on this board is Nicole Forshler-Horn, who served as our Education Committee Chair. Nicole, could you come up here for a moment, please? Well, isn't that perfect timing? Yeah. Also leaving is Pam Patner. Pam, would you come up? We'd like to recognize you with a certificate here of appreciation and for all of your many, many years on the board. And I believe David Wolfson is away as well. And so we really are very grateful for the 4 folks who have volunteered to be on it. I think they're several of them we know well, and the others we are very happy and very pleased that they volunteered. And so I will close that part of it. Can I get Winnie Curry and John Wolfinger to come up very briefly, please, to join me in this next piece of the program? So the board, this is a piece of the program that's not listed on your agenda here. The Aaron Gross Award was created in 2002 in honor of its namesake, who was a VHCA president and NPU president who served many years in those posts. It recognizes exceptional dedication and enduring excellence in the performance of duties to both the community and the Civic Association. It is not given annually, but only when the board believes that a citizen's contributions merit such recognition. And joining me here today in presenting this award are 2 previous winners, Winnie Curry, who shaped this association's processes and approaches to planning and zoning over many years and remains a walking authority on this topic, and John Wolfinger, who helped author a neighborhood safety movement in this community. It's based on a newsletter street captain model that has proven to be extremely practical and very effective. I'd like to give them a round for what they did. This year we are delighted to honor someone who was elected to the board in 2006, served 1 year as secretary and 5 years as president. Such tenure in those jobs alone is meritorious, but that's not why we're here today, but to recognize some other very special achievements. 6 years ago, she became the chair of Summerfest, inheriting a model that we all regarded as very satisfactory and quite successful. Our honoree saw an opportunity to expand that festival's scope and reach to engage more citizens and have more fun, and to markedly increase revenues in the process. And not surprisingly, she had a very good idea of what this community could do with those revenues. Prominent among them, purchase 2 lots and create a brand new park, a task that seemed very much beyond us and utterly beyond the city. like Ms. Curry and Mr. Wolfinger, she is going to tell us that she had a lot of help along the way, and she did. But it was her vision and her will that inspired both the remaking of Summerfest into the event that we so enjoy today, and the purchase and creation of the new park. The added revenues she had generated along the way have not only financed New Highland Park, they supported the renovations in Orem, the pending project at John Howell Park, sustained community grants to all our schools and nonprofits, and made possible a level of planning sophistication, among other parts, the creation of the NC zoning and the pending master plan that we are about to undertake. That is a remarkable list of accomplishments. They were all done with her trademark combination of hard work, persistence, diligence, humor, backpatting, volunteer arm twisting, and most importantly, an ability to create a vision and to share it of how this community could expand and protect the elements that have made it so very special. We're all the beneficiaries of what she's done, and for all these contributions and many more.
Y'all, you make me cry. Thanks so much. The reason I got involved with Virginia-Highland Civic Association to begin with was we had a neighbor that was turning a duplex into an illegal triplex, and it had become a flop house. And we went, and Kevin Cronin was the president at the time, and they really helped us find a really constructive way to deal with the problem. And we ended up being friends with that neighbor, and ultimately what he ended up doing with his house ended up to be perfect for him because he got married a year later and didn't need a triplex. And it was about that time, everybody gets that time in their life where they think, well, gosh, I haven't really done much volunteer work. I've been so busy with other things. Maybe it's time to give back a little bit. And so because I had such a respect for what the Civic Association does, I developed it by that point. I thought, well, that's where I'd like to spend some time. And it's been great. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's been really fun, and I've really appreciated everyone in this community who pitches in, because this is a community where it's not just the board members, but everyone has such a great ethic and a desire to keep this neighborhood the way we want it, or to make this neighborhood the way we want it to be. And so it really is everybody, but I really do appreciate the board. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure, and I look forward to working on Summerfest again next year.
Amazingly, she didn't seem to find it odd that her husband uniquely came with her tonight to this awards ceremony.
He wanted to go to dinner.
Well done, sir.
Got me.
Before we do the grant awards, and I want to re-recognize our retiring board member, Nicole Forshall-Hearn, who retired from this meeting a little early, but Nicole became the chair of the Education Committee at a very difficult and tumultuous time in Atlanta School Board and in this community's school history, and I thought she did an extraordinary job 2 years ago of really rising up to meet a series of very difficult challenges and explaining them and making them intelligible to us all. Nicole, we thank you for your service, and we have a gift for you, and we'd like to give you a round of applause. Each year, the board is privileged to be able to take some of the monies that we generate significantly from Summerfest, but also increasingly from the volunteer efforts of the tour homes, and award them to a series of nonprofits and educational institutions in our neighborhood. It's a real pleasure. It's an incredibly fun job. So we're going to have a series of folks here help me in this presentation. Peggy, if you'll come up briefly. Is Link Weiss here? Make it. All right. Peggy Berg, our safety chair, is going to present the very first grant.
This neighborhood is a walking neighborhood, so I think we're leaders in the city in being a walking place, and it's one of the things that makes us so special. That walking neighborhood is something that Sally Flox Heads has supported for many years, and she's worked diligently for many, many years to spread walking throughout the city of Atlanta. So we are delighted to be able to support Heads once again, and we hope we will for many more years. Thank you, Sally.
Thank your neighborhood for your loyal support of our efforts to make the whole region more walkable. And I also want to invite you this year to come to our Golden Shoe Awards. It's scheduled for October 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. and it will be at All Saints Episcopal Church on West Peachtree. And your neighborhood will have a lot to be proud of. So please come to this event and celebrate some of the progress that's being made in Atlanta, including in your neighborhood, and by your neighborhood real leaders. Thank you.
So I don't know how many of you had children graduate from Brady High School, but the process of finding a college is always a challenge for the parents. I mean, the kids know they're going to go to college somewhere, many of them, but the parents need some coaching. And they need their children to be able to make those decisions and have all the information they need. So Ms. Bunsing, one of our very own Brady parents, established something unique in the United States called the College and Career Connection, which provides an invaluable service to all the students in Brady High School, and has been a model, I think. So we are also delighted to be supporting the College and Career Connection and hope we will for many years. Thank you.
We've already had a Rising Senior Boot Camp that this is helping buy supplies for, and coming up, more supplies for the Women in Engineering Luncheon next week. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Our next grant is to the Church of Our Savior, which is the church at the corner of Los Angeles and North Highland, directly across the street from the fire station. The church is a great resource for our community. They have lots of meetings, and they've been very supportive of the Civic Association by giving us meeting space when the library is unavailable or when we have extra meetings. And we're so appreciative of them sharing their great space with us. They also have a wonderful aftercare program that my two daughters attend that services Springdale Park Elementary as well as Morningside and Mary Lynn. And that's a tremendous resource for our neighborhood as well, being able to have a nice, safe, wonderful aftercare program that our children from this community can go to. So the Virginia-Highland Civic Association is very happy to present a grant to Father Bolton of Church of Our Savior. Father Bolton will be leaving in March, and we will miss him terribly, but we very much appreciate all the support the church has given our community.
I could take it and use it to help pay off our huge air conditioning paying bill. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give this to the Garrison After School Program Scholarship Fund, because we have quite a few families with children in our program who can barely afford the fee that we charge, and in some cases just simply can't, and we want to be able to help some of them to do that. So we're going to devote this money to that. I also want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Peggy for the sidewalk bundling program, from which we benefited greatly at our Savior, because our parsonage on St. Charles has a sidewalk in front of it that was in bad need of repair. And so we were able to become a part of the bundling program, which took a long time to come to fruition, as you well know, but not for any fault of yours.